Hi there, my name's Grace. Do you want to explore with me? Today, I'm exploring a certain little creature that you might hear buzzing outside. Can you guess what it is? That's right, bees. Today we're exploring types of bees, how bees can help us. Then, we're going to take a look inside some of the beehives here on the farm to find out what goes on inside a hive. Come with me! First things first, there are a lot of different types of bees. Sometimes when we think about bees, we only think about honeybees or maybe bumblebees. But it turns out there are a ton of different types of bees in the world. In fact, there are more than 20,000 species of bees known in the world today. And we see more than 550 of those here in North Carolina. Bees come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. Here's a surprising bee fact for you. Most types of bees don't live in hives. Instead, they dig tunnels and live in nests underground. Other types of bees live in wood, plant stems, and even birds' nests.
Just a few of the categories of bees we see here in North Carolina include mining bees, sweat bees, potter bees, leafcutter bees, cuckoo bees, digger bees, bumblebees, sharp-tailed bees, and longhorned bees.
Okay, explorers, now that we know a little bit about the different types of bees, let's talk about how bees help us. Of course, all the different types of bees have an important job to play in their environments to keep it healthy and happy. But a few different types of bees, a few special types of bees, have an extra important job. They help plants complete the process of pollination. Have you ever seen yellow dust on a flower in the springtime? If you live in North Carolina, you've probably also seen that yellow dust on sidewalks, cars, and even buildings. That yellow dust that comes from flowers and that covers everything in the springtime is called pollen. In order for plants to develop seeds and fruits, they need to be pollinated. That means that yellow dust needs to move from one flower to the next. Here in North Carolina, the most important pollinator is the honeybee. Honeybees pollinate a lot of the different yummy foods that we eat, including strawberries, cucumbers, melons, peaches, and even peanuts. Honeybees pollinate those plants and others by landing on their flowers to drink the sugary nectar and collect some pollen to take back to their hives. When they land on the flower, some of that yellow pollen gets stuck to hairs on their legs. When the honeybee travels to the next flower, some of the pollen rubs off onto that flower, completing the process of pollination without the bee even knowing it. Honeybees will travel up to 4 miles to find flowers that they like, and they use this special sort of waggle dance to tell other bees in their hive where to find good food. Pretty cool, right? After the honeybees are finished collecting all that pollen and drinking all that nectar, it's time for them to head back to the hive. Most honeybees in the US today don't live in bee-made hives that might look like this. They live in human-made hives that look like this. Today, we're going to open up this beehive and take a look at the busy honeybee city that's inside. But because we don't smell like bees, the honeybees might get confused when we open up their home and start poking around. So, to explore, we're going to need some special protective equipment. Let's suit up! This suit includes a jacket, a hood, some thick gloves, and I'm also wearing thick pants and boots. Now that we're all suited up, let's dive inside the hive.
The first thing we do when we start our hive exploration is use a smoker tool to blow smoke over the hives we're going to open. We fill the smoker tool with pine needles, then blow the smoke around the outside of the hive. The smoke will encourage the bees to move into the hives where they won't be in our way. Then we open up the hive we're going to explore. Look at all those bees sitting on top. We use the smoker tool to blow even more smoke over the top of the hive. Watch the bees scatter. Once the bees have moved off the top, it's time to pull out a panel and take a look. See these wooden panels? They're called frames, and they're where the bees live. Each frame is covered in a honeycomb pattern, and the bees fill all those honeycomb cells with food, pollen, and even baby bees. Let's pull out a frame and get a closer look. Wow! Look at all the bees on that frame. This is one busy hive. The first thing we notice on this frame is all of the pollen. A lot of the honeycomb cells have been filled in with pollen that the bees collected from flowers. There are so many different shades of orange and yellow. Bees actually eat this pollen. It gives them good protein. Hey, look! The pollen isn't just in the cells. Some of it is stuck on the legs of bees. Do you see the pollen on their legs? It looks sort of like they're wearing little pants. Most of the bees you see covering this frame are called worker bees. They're female bees who make up most of the hive. They gather food, take care of babies, and make sure that the hive keeps running smoothly. In each hive, there is one special female bee, the queen bee. She only has one job: keep the hive running by laying eggs. The queen is bigger than all the other female bees, and some beekeepers put a little colorful dot on her back to help tell her apart. This is what a bee egg looks like right after the queen lays it. Those tiny little eggs develop into larvae, which look like little white grubs. See them in these cells? Once the larva is close to being ready to hatch, the worker bees seal it up. The larva finishes developing and then emerges, like you can see here. A new bee has been added to the hive. There's one last type of bee in the hive, drones. They look like this. They're the only male bees in the hive, and their job is to fertilize the queen's eggs. So far, we've seen that honeycomb cells can be filled with pollen and bee eggs and larvae. But what's this liquid glistening from the cells? No, it's not honey. Yet. It's nectar. Bees store nectar here, which they drink for energy. Then they cover up the cells, and once they're covered, they look something like this. That sealed up nectar becomes delicious honey. Here's a surprising bee fact. Honeybees like to put nectar in the cells that are on the top and the side parts of a frame. That means that the honey makes a rainbow in the frame. Today, we've taken a look at a few different frames and seen worker bees, queen bees, and drone bees in action. It's time to close up the hive.
Now that the hives are all closed up again, we're finished exploring for the day. Thanks for letting us take a look, bees. And hey, thanks to you too for coming exploring with me. If you want to learn more about bees, make sure to check out the other videos and resources that I included in the description. Thanks again for stopping by. I had so much fun with you today. See you next time!